Welcome, and thank you for your time and your interest in Woodlands Wildlife Refuge and our Preserving a Wildlife Heritage Project. I'm Tracy Lever, founder and executive director of Woodlands Wildlife Refuge. For 38 years, Woodlands has been dedicated to caring for orphan and injured wildlife throughout the entire state of New Jersey. We are also very passionate about educating the public about our state's wildlife in an effort to foster a much better understanding about our wild neighbors, their habits and their habitats, and the importance of wildlife conservation and open space preservation. In this informative presentation, I will share with you the highlights of the incredible services that Woodlands, a 501c3 organization that receives no state or federal funding, provides not only to our local communities, but to the entire state. While our little state may be the most densely populated state in the country, it is still home to an amazing diversity of wild species and still has the habitat to support them if we are careful. But as our towns and communities continue to grow, so will human and wildlife encounters and concerns about our wildlife. And so Woodlands must also continue to grow to meet those increasing demands on our services. I will share with you how Woodlands plans to meet this, its biggest challenge, as we embrace the incredible opportunity to secure a permanent home for Woodlands right where it is currently functioning in Alexandria Township on privately owned property by applying for Green Acres and Hunterdon County open space funding to purchase that property. Woodlands Wildlife Refuge began 38 years ago with the rescue of 2 infant raccoons. It was compassion and a pure appreciation for wildlife and their wild spirits that has fueled the consistent growth of Woodlands over all of these years. It began with those 2 raccoons and just 1 person in a spare room on private property, and now it has grown to a standalone facility on another private property, but now cares for more than 2,700 mammals and reptiles a year with the help of more than 70 volunteers and interns, 4 full-time staff, a dedicated board of trustees, and the incredibly generous support of 4 veterinary hospitals providing their services to us. Over the years, Woodlands has consistently answered calls for help from New Jersey Fish and Wildlife, and we are proud to have created the state's successful black bear and bobcat rehabilitation release programs. Woodlands is trusted by the New Jersey Department of Environmental Protection and New Jersey Fish and Wildlife to take on many wildlife species that require specialized care. And aside from the black bear and bobcat programs, we care for over 55 different species of wildlife each year. We also work with several endangered and threatened species, including our state's venomous snakes, the copperhead and the timber rattlesnake. The services Woodlands provides to not only our local communities, but throughout the state are many. Of note is our wildlife hotline. The hotline receives over 5,000 calls a year from New Jersey residents concerning wildlife. These calls can range from, "I found an infant squirrel," to "there's a fox with mange in my yard," to asking for help identifying an animal or asking for solving potential wildlife conflicts, and of course, the obviously injured animal concerns. Our hotline is the main artery between those that come across orphan and injured wildlife, and of course, wild patients that are admitted for care. Each and every animal that arrives at Woodlands Wildlife Refuge is associated with a concerned citizen. We receive the majority of our wild patients directly from the public, and the rest from animal control officers who are also receiving them from the public, and New Jersey Fish and Wildlife biologists, as well as conservation officers.
Environmental education is important, and Woodlands has developed several science-based environmental education programs that appeal to all ages and groups. Programs are available on and off-site and are developed to foster a greater understanding of our wildlife and the importance of wildlife preservation and conservation. Our non-releasable education ambassadors are an integral part of our programs. Our commitment to educating the public reaches far and wide, and our staff has presented programs throughout the country and abroad. Our everyday work focuses mostly on animal care, which begins with answering the calls from our hotline and admitting those animals in need. Then, the long process of care, rehabilitation, and hopefully release begins. The first step is an examination of the animal to determine and address any health or medical needs. It is then placed in age-appropriate housing, which could be anything from an incubator for the smallest infants or larger enclosures for juvenile and adult animals. They may also be placed in an isolation area to avoid spreading potential diseases or in a critical care area while healing from physical injuries. The animal's nutritional needs are calculated, and a care plan is put in place and carefully evaluated on a daily basis. Careful consideration is made for all of these steps, as each species, from infancy to adult, has differing requirements. Our ultimate goal is the eventual release of these animals back to their natural habitat as a well-functioning wild animal. Orphaned, infant, and juvenile animals are in care until their natural age of independence. Some species mature quicker than others and may be in care for a few weeks, and others mature slower and may be in care for as long as a year. Throughout their time at Woodlands, they are weaned off formula, onto solid food, and gradually moved through lessening care from us to pre-release enclosures, providing all the natural elements the species require to survive in the wild. Once those capabilities are shown to us, the animal is then released. Please enjoy this video created in partnership with the Nature Conservancy that provides insight into this rehabilitation process.
We just got these 4 baby raccoons in. They're only about 2 months old, so way too young to be on their own. Unfortunately, it's such a common occurrence here at Woodlands Wildlife Refuge that we get animals in where the parent has been trapped out. When the animals first come in as infants, of course, we're giving them the closest replacement that we can to their mother's milk. Then we slowly wean them onto solid foods. And by the time we move them into outside enclosures, we're giving them food that closely mimics what they would be eating in the wild. One of the most difficult things that we go through as the caregivers of these wild animals is, can we do enough? Can we replace, what their mom would do for them as a human being, We have given these guys the best of our abilities with nutrition. They're gaining weight. We have our fingers crossed, and we just hope that eventually we will be able to send them back out.
In New Jersey, it's the densest populated state in the US, and we have a huge network of roads to help people get around, but it interrupts a lot of the habitat that animals need to get around. My position at the Nature Conservancy is focused on understanding how and where wildlife are crossing roads. And this is a big effort to reduce wildlife mortality on roads. The Nature Conservancy, we protect habitat, and that's exactly what the animals at Woodlands need.
So now that we're ready to release these raccoons, we're going to be taking them back to the home range that they originally came from, which thankfully is Nature Conservancy property.
Woodlands has many animals that need habitat, and the Nature Conservancy has preserves that offer that habitat, so it's quite a natural collaboration.
Releasing a raccoon and watching it come out and touch around on the ground and feel all of those things for the first time, that's the fulfilling part for me, is to see them go, wow, there's no cage, there's no wall, there's nothing. It's just me and where I'm supposed to be.
Our statewide conservation efforts include, and as mentioned before, working with threatened and endangered species in partnership with the Department of Environmental Protection and the Division of Threatened and Endangered Species. Woodlands works closely with the biologists in these various departments to ensure that these animals are rescued carefully and appropriately, and then brought to Woodlands for care and released back into their home areas. One perfect example of this is the admission of a badly injured bobcat that had been struck by a car. His condition was dire and many bones were broken. With generous donors, expert and extensive veterinary care, exceptional care at Woodlands, time and patience, this beautiful animal was successfully released. Woodlands also works closely with New Jersey's conservation officers in an effort to assist helping with the illegal possession and black market trafficking of our native species. We often are asked to care for animals that have been confiscated from various places for various reasons. We do our best to determine the health of these animals that have sometimes been kept in very poor conditions for long periods of time and try to bring them back to good health and again, hopefully release them back into the wild where they belong. Our partnerships and collaborative efforts throughout the state are one of the many things that keep us strong and keeps the network wide open for those people in the state of New Jersey working to preserve and conserve wildlife. Our partnership with the New Jersey Fish and Wildlife, the Nature Conservancy, Herpetological Associates, New Jersey Department of Environmental Protection, USDA, U.S. Fish and Wildlife Service, Rutgers, and our fellow rehabilitation facilities ensure that as many orphan and injured or displaced or confiscated native wild animals are given the best possible care with the optimal chance of being released back into the wild. Woodlands also collaborates on various research projects with partners, such as working with members of the USDA and the University of Florida on a project to collect samples from wild animals to test the population for SARS-CoV-2, and also working with biologists from New Jersey Fish and Wildlife, Rutgers University Department of Ecology, Evolution, and Natural Resources, and the Herpetological Associates to catalog northern copperheads listed as a special concern species in New Jersey. Woodlands Black Bear Rehabilitation Program, since 1995, has been a collaborative effort with the New Jersey Fish and Wildlife's Black Bear team. All bears worked with become part of the state's Greater Black Bear Research Project. Our program provides invaluable scientific data on bear behavior and is recognized nationally and internationally for its success. This success was published in part in the Journal of Wildlife Management as part of an independent research project by biologist Dr. John Beecham. Please enjoy this compilation of releases. You may be asking, what is the Preserving Wildlife Heritage Project? Now that you know a bit more about Woodlands and its far-reaching services, our Preserving a Wildlife Heritage Project is just that. It is about wildlife and land preservation. It is about conservation, and it is about ensuring that the legacy of Woodlands Wildlife Refuge and the work it does is secured well into the future. Woodlands is taking important steps to ensure that it can keep its promise to not turn away an animal in need and its dedication to continue to grow to meet the needs of the state's concerned citizens and its wildlife. As one of New Jersey's foremost wildlife rehabilitation facilities, Woodlands plays a crucial role in the community and in conserving New Jersey's wildlife. With the increasing and statewide demands, it's incumbent upon Woodlands and those depending upon its services to ensure that it can continue doing this work indefinitely. Planning for the future is a bold move, and effective conservation of New Jersey's diverse wildlife requires long-term planning and a collaboration of partners and citizens, and the timing is critical. An increased burden has been placed on Woodlands over the past few years. For example, in 2024, Woodlands animal admissions was at an all-time high of 2,782 animals, a 24% increase from 2023. And over the past 5 years, Woodlands has experienced a 49% increase of animal admissions. And so, our Preserving a Wildlife Heritage Project is a plan that focuses on ensuring that we can continue meeting the future needs of our state and the communities and the wildlife. By applying for green acres in Hunterdon County open space funding, Woodlands would be able to secure a permanent home by acquiring the almost 11.5 acres of property on which it currently operates, and Woodlands uses only a fraction of that property. These funds would allow for the purchase of the property and also provide safety, privacy, and security for all of the wild animals in care, and an opportunity for expansion and dedicated areas for recovering animals and non-releasable animals. The property is beautifully surrounded by preserved farmland on 3 sides that forms an ecological barrier and falls within the Highlands planning area and is designated as Conservation Environmentally Constrained Subzone and Conservation Zone. Approximately 1 acre of the property lies within the 300-foot riparian zone of the Nishisackawik Creek tributary, which is a Category 1 water body. The property practices meadow management, creating vital habitat for pollinators, mammals, birds, and many other species of wildlife. The U.S. Fish and Wildlife Service has identified 4 threatened, endangered, or candidate species that occur on or near the property, which is designated a Rank 3 habitat according to the New Jersey Department of Environmental Protection Landscape Project. There are buildings on the property that would enhance the opportunity for Woodlands to expand its animal care facilities and public education program capacity. Currently, Woodlands uses a small 1-room office and the lower floor of a 3-story barn. Acquiring the property gives Woodlands more opportunities to expand its many services. It will give Woodlands the capability to stay true to its vision of not turning animals in need away. Woodlands envisions increasing its public environmental programs and expanding its hospital facilities as the demands for our services continue to grow. Being able to use the property to increase our temporary enclosures for the animals being readied for release, and very importantly, enabling us to expand our education programs and allowing more people to access and participate in additional programs of nature-based experiences at Woodlands. In essence, The property has served Woodlands well, and now Woodlands has the opportunity to serve and preserve the property and the state's wildlife well and forever. Again, thank you for your interest and your support of this bold and very important endeavor that we are embarking on. This presentation has been just one part of our public engagement requirements as we fulfill the application for Green Acres funding. If you would like more in-depth information about this project, please visit our dedicated webpage. We would appreciate you taking our survey, also found on that page, and you can also reach out to us at any time.